Welcome to today's topic, Worker Classification and Schedule C Rules according to the 2026 Guide. This lecture is powered by Nasha Boumer, Bleem Professor and CEO of InfoTaxSquare.com, sharing his professional expertise and real-world experience to guide and support the learning journey of young professionals. In this video, we'll cover a wide range of important topics, like Worker Classification Overview, Schedule C Filing Rules, Types of workers, Employee versus Independent Contractor, Statutory Employees, Statutory Non-Employees, Form 1040 Income Reporting, Federal Tax Responsibilities, Tax Withholding Rules, Payroll and Compliance Guidelines. Some are highlighted, while others will be revealed throughout the video. Be sure to watch until the end to gain the full benefit of this guide. What determines worker classification for Schedule C filing? Worker classification decides whether a taxpayer must file Schedule C. It also determines how income, taxes, and expenses are reported. Can common law employees file Schedule C? No. Common law employees cannot file Schedule C. Their income is reported on Form 1040. What are the four types of workers? There are four main worker classifications: common law employees, independent contractors, statutory employees, statutory non-employees. Each type has different tax and reporting rules. How is a common law employee treated for tax purposes? Income reported on Form 1040. Employer handles income tax withholding. Employer pays payroll taxes. Employer provides retirement plan. Employee may receive benefits. Employee cannot deduct business expenses. How is an independent contractor treated? Reports income and expenses on Schedule C. Responsible for income tax withholding. Pays self-employment, payroll, taxes. Can deduct unreimbursed business expenses. Can set up own retirement plan. Usually no employee benefits. What is a statutory employee? A statutory employee is a hybrid worker. A statutory employee treated as employee for payroll tax purposes, in some cases employer pays portion. A statutory employee still files Schedule C. A statutory employee can deduct business expenses. A statutory employer may pay payroll tax unless exceptions apply. What is a statutory non-employee? Statutory non-employees are treated as independent contractors even if they look like employees. They include qualified real estate agents, direct sellers, certain companion sitters. They file Schedule C and pay self-employment tax via Schedule SA. Who reports income on Form 1040? Employees report their income on Form 1040. Independent contractors report their income on Schedule C. Statutory employees report their income on Schedule C. Statutory non-employees report their income on Schedule C. Who is responsible for federal income tax withholding? For an employee, the employer is responsible for federal income tax withholding. For an independent contractor, the worker is responsible for federal income tax withholding. For a statutory employee, the worker is responsible for federal income tax withholding. Who pays employer portion of payroll tax? For employees, the employer pays the employer portion of payroll taxes. For independent contractors, the worker is responsible for paying their own payroll taxes. For statutory employees, the employer usually pays the employer portion of payroll taxes, provided all statutory employee requirements are met. For statutory non-employees, the worker is responsible for paying their own payroll taxes. However, for statutory employees, this responsibility may shift to the worker if the required conditions are not met. Who sets up retirement plan? For employees, the employer typically sets up the retirement plan. For independent contractors, the individual is responsible for setting up a self-employed retirement plan. For statutory employees, a self-employed retirement plan is generally established by the worker. For statutory non-employees, the worker is also responsible for setting up a self-employed retirement plan. What factors indicate employee versus contractor? Employee indicators include fixed working hours, hourly wages, fringe benefits, reimbursement of business expenses, tools and equipment provided by the employer, and an ongoing work relationship with the company. Independent contractor indicators include flexible working hours, payment on a per-project basis, no employee benefits, use of their own tools and equipment, business independence, and the ability to provide services to multiple clients. What are key ABC test evaluation factors? Factor 1 is profit/loss opportunity. Factor 2 is worker investment. Factor 3 is job permanence. Factor 4 is level of control. Factor 5 is importance of work to business. Factor 6 is skill and initiative. How is worker control determined? Common law test. A worker is classified based on control and independence. Behavioral control. Does employer control how work is done? Financial control. Who controls payment, expenses, tools, and supplies? Type of relationship. Contracts, benefits, duration, and role importance. What happens if a worker is misclassified? If the IRS determines that a worker has been misclassified, the employer may be required to pay the employer's share of FICA taxes, 20% of the employee's FICA share, 20% of the additional Medicare tax, federal income tax withholding ranging from 1.5% to 3%, along with any applicable interest and penalties. What is the Voluntary Classification Settlement Program? A program that allows employers to reclassify workers as employees, pay only 10% of prior payroll tax liability, avoid penalties and interest, avoid employment tax audit for those workers. Which workers are statutory employees? Delivery drivers, food, laundry, dry cleaning. Full-time life insurance agents. Home-based workers using company materials. Full-time traveling salespeople. Can statutory employee income be combined with other Schedule C income? No. They must be reported separately. One Schedule C for statutory employee income. One Schedule C for other business income. What are statutory non-employee categories? Real estate agents. Direct sellers. Companion sitters. What conditions must direct sellers and real estate agents meet? Pay tied to sales/output, not hours. Written contract stating non-employee status. If you have any question regarding worker classification and Schedule C rules, you can contact us. Here are our contact information. Our phone number is 516-822-3100. Our mail is support@infotaxsquare.com. Our website is infotaxsquare.com. Thanks for watching.